Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this particular video, we are going to discuss about a recent decision which has been approved by Israel's Security Cabinet, and that decision is pertaining to capture the entire city of Gaza, to take control of the entire city of Gaza by the Israeli military or Israeli defense forces, and later on it can be handed over to the friendly Arab nations, as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has pointed out. So if we try to understand the brief context of this particular topic, recently, in a meeting conducted in the night of Thursday, we have seen Israeli Security Cabinet approving a plan to take over the entire city of Gaza. And ahead of this meeting also, Netanyahu, while talking with the press reporters, he has stated that the entire territory will not be kept or will be taken control of by the Israel for long period of time. Once Israel take control of the entire Gaza, entire Hamas is what has to be decimated. That is one of the goal or intended goal of Israel. After that, eventually it will be handed off to the friendly Arab forces which do not also support Hamas and they are against Hamas as such. Now, if you look at the background of this entire development, we can understand that Israel and Gaza has been involved largely in a protracted war that has been going on since October 2023, and it all began when on the date of October 7, 2023, the members of Hamas group entered Israeli territory and they have killed a lot of Israeli civilians as well as members of Israeli defense forces, and also they have captured many of the Israeli citizens many of them who are still hostage of Hamas as such. It is believed that in this entire episode, more than 1,200 Israeli citizens were killed, 251 Israeli people were abducted. Out of that, 50 still remain in the captivity of Hamas as such, and it is believed that 20 are still alive, 30 might have been killed as such. Now, because of this entire development, Israel has continuously launched a counteroffensive campaign against Gaza, targeting Hezbollah, targeting Hamas, and this has been going on for last 22 years. Now, due to this continuous strike carried out against the Hezbollah, Hamas, and also recently by against Iran, what we can understand is the most of the supporters, whether it is the state actors or non-state actors, those who used to or lend support to Hamas, they are no longer active or their capacity has been severely degraded, and that also has led to overall decline in the capacity and capability of Hamas to still what you can call launch a campaign or offense against the Israel as such. So, in this overall protected campaign, it is believed that tens of thousands of Palestinians have been killed. As per the exact data released by UN report, it is believed that almost 61,000 Palestinians have been killed in last 2.5 years of protected war as such. Now, if you look at the Security Cabinet decisions, it has already given the approval to seize the city of Gaza. Now, obviously, we have to understand that this decision has been taken by the Security Cabinet. That does not mean it is a unanimous decision. There has been large-scale internal squabbles and also opposition to such kind of move by the opposition parties of Israel as well as some of the influential military leaders of Israel as well. Netanyahu, however, has given a green flag to this particular approval, and now they are going to control the entire territory of Gaza in the short time at least. Also, in the meeting, they have outlined several goals. First goal is to remove Hamas both as a political power in the Gaza territory as well as military power. That means they want to degrade and completely decapitate the capabilities and the ability of Hamas to launch any future campaign or offensive campaign against Israel as such. Second, in the long term period, they have clearly outlined they will hand over the administration of this territory to friendly Arab forces, and also they will create a security parameter to ensure that no threat from Gaza can further come in the Israeli territory as such. This has been a stated goal. Now, apart from that, if you take a look at that, what can be the possible implications of such move, we will try to understand this from multiple perspectives. But before that, I want to bring your attention to the fact that we are going to soon launch our batches in Legacy IAS Academy for the UPSC aspirants. The batches are going to commence on 9th and 11th of August. These batches are going to be both weekday and weekend batch. Now, in the UPSC examination, as we know, that UPSC focuses upon having a comprehensive understanding for aspirants, and that is what we focus also in our class. So, all the GS papers, even in essay and CSAT, everything will be comprehensive covered in our classes. We also have one-to-one mentorship and doubt solving sessions, and we ensure that there is regular interactions between the faculties and aspirants both inside and outside of the class. And to ensure this interaction is to a maximum extent, we have a strict policy of 40 students per batch in every class as such. We also believe that the preparation of UPSC should be done in an integrated manner right from the start. That means you have to prepare for prelims, means interview right from the beginning, and their daily mains answer writing practice can lend a very helping hand as such, and that is what we also encourage students and aspirants to participate in. We also have test series both the prelims as well as mains examinations, so the students can regularly check their performances, can get the feedback, appropriate feedback, and based on those feedbacks they can further streamline their preparation by analyzing the areas of strength, weaknesses and all. And also we ensure 360-degree coverage of current affairs plus variety of features we have in our course modules and programs that can ensure that the chances for any aspirants to succeed in the UPSC examination can be high. If you want to know more details about this program, you can download our Legacy app or you can click the link in the description box of this particular video. Now coming back to this particular topic, if you look at the current situation in the military context, we know that currently even Israel controls 75% of Gaza Strip. If you take a look at the map here, as you can see, this is the territory of Israel that is on this side of this particular area, and this small strip that you see shaded largely in the orange, which is having a border or coast toward the Mediterranean Sea, is what we call as Gaza Strip. As you can see, Gaza Strip is largely surrounded by Israel from all the side, and from the south it has a small border with Egypt as such. So in this entire Gaza Strip, that means this area surrounded a dotted line that you can see, we can look at the area currently under the administrative control of Israel. So this entire orange area you see are largely under the control of Israeli military, because Israeli defense forces are deployed there, and they are also controlling the movement in and out from this entire territory. So overall, if you try to understand, when you talk about the area of Gaza Strip currently under the administrative control of Hamas and the forces, it is just a very small area. This area we can say that you see here. Apart from that, this entire area of Gaza Strip, 75% if you look at from the area's perspective, is currently anyway under the control of Israel, and that they further want to expand to have 100% control on the entire region. Now, in the Gaza city, the reason why Israel wanted to capture it completely, because they believe that even though they have captured and they have control over large part of Gaza Strip, the areas which they do not have any control over, there has been report of militants specifically belonging to Hamas supported by Hezbollah. They have continuously repeatedly they have regrouped and have launched continuous attacks against the Israeli defense forces as well as Israeli territory. And they believe that the buffer zones, evacuation orders that they have in most of areas, it has not yielded the desired result from the security perspective as Israel wanted earlier. Still, Israel believes that even in these buffer zones and in the areas where civilians lie, within those civilian population lies large number of Hamas militant and terrorist research. So also there is a concern that if Israel goes ahead with its plan to capture an entire Gaza Strip, that will also result in the ground assault, because without that it is not possible at all. And there is concern that if ground assault is conducted further by the IDF, it could further displace tens and thousands of people, which will add to the numbers of people already displaced in the early stages of war itself. Not only that, because of such kind of offensive, the aid operation currently that is undergoing with the help of United Nations, where aids to the civilian population, children and women are being targeted, they will also be disrupted. That will further risk loss of life of many innocent civilians in the Gaza Strip. That is a concern that has been raised here. Now, as I told you, that though Israeli Security Committee has given the approval to capture the entire strip, it does not mean that there is no opposition as such. There has been large-scale opposition against this move of Benjamin Netanyahu. For example, the Israeli Defense Force chief himself has warned that any such action where Israeli defense forces will involve in ground attack, that can cause danger to the life of hostages which are still under the captivity of Hamas. As we have discussed in the beginning, that almost 20 hostages is believed to be under the captivity of Hamas who are alive. Military strain after 2 years of conflict is obviously seen in the IDF capacity and capability, especially in the context of recent war that Israel waged against the state of Iran as such. So that will also put further strain on military, and the capacity and the capability to deter any future attack can also be reduced from the military perspective. Families of hostages also have begun to protest because they fear that the life of their family member can be compromised by such actions. Also, former security officials has warned of such kind of quagmire, and also they believe that even if Israeli defense forces try to take control of entire Gaza Strip, they will not be depopulating the entire strip. Still, within their administrative control will lie thousands and thousands of Gazan, we can say, population. Within them, they also you can find Hamas militant members. So that will also have very limited military gains even if Israel goes ahead with this. So that is why there has been opposition as such. Now potential implications we try to understand. Obviously the most important implication we can understand is from the humanitarian perspective, where it is believed that a large scale displacement would result if IDF starts a ground assault. Already millions and millions of people from Gaza, refugees from Gaza, are taking refuge in the nearby countries such as Lebanon, Jordan and even in Egypt. So further such kind of displacement we can see intensifying in the future. Civilian casualty will also increase, because obviously if you are firing in a crowd, if you are trying to take control of a particular area, military cannot distinguish between militant and a normal civilian. So civilian casualty will rise further. Currently stands at 61,000. Famine conditions that are prevailing in many parts of Gaza, that do not have access to basic foods, basic necessities, children do not have access to milk, water and all that, that condition will further worsen. And also, as we discussed, the delivery of the aid under the UN OCHA that is being carried out in the Gazan territory will entirely collapse, as during the wartime, during the attack, during the assault operations launched by the Israeli Defense Forces, obviously we cannot expect any aid program to continue, any aid trucks to move in the Gaza Strip region. So there is a risk of total infrastructure breakdown as well, because anyway if you try to look at the aerial photograph of Gaza, you would see that more than 70 to 80% of infrastructure has been completely destroyed, decimated due to the war prolonging from the last 2 years as such. Now there is going to be political implications of such move as well. So what are the political implications? First of all, as we have seen in the recent statement released by the leaders of countries such as UK, France, Canada, we have seen a clear-cut what you can call as pressure they are trying to build on the Israeli leadership, so that do not worsen the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. But if Israel goes ahead to capture the entire Gaza Strip, that may further cause international isolation of Israel. Anyway, Arabian world, the Arab leaders will not like it, and the only country Israel might support with is United States of America. But apart from that, most of countries would not want Israel to carry out such a step as such. Obviously, US and Arab relations can also get strained, because Arab countries, especially Gulf countries such as Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, they have been strategic partner and allies with US. So Israel's such action can be seen by these Arabian countries as a failure of US diplomacy to apply pressure on Israel, failure of Trump administration to apply pressure on Israel, so that Israel does not go ahead with such plan. Anti-Israel sentiment that already has built up many large-scale protests we have seen all across the major Western countries also, they will further intensify, and the pressure from far right allies to escalate, however, can also be seen. That means what we can understand, there is a greater risk of political instability both inside Israel as at the global scale, and that is going to be the major implications from diplomatic and the political point of view. Now there is going to be the security implications of such move as well. As we have discussed before, that still Hamas has 20-25 hostages in its captivity. So obviously, if they feel that they do not have any way out, as Hamas has been pushing for ceasefire deal, has been pushing for negotiation, but if they feel that they do not have any other options, anyway they are going to be killed, in that case their safety of hostages can be jeopardized. Long-term guerrilla warfare is something that we can also see, because if you have a foreign military presence in a large area, especially urban areas, and this foreign military is not able to distinguish who is normal civilian, who is a militant, in that case militant can take advantage by pushing a guerrilla warfare like a strategy, where it can also cause large-scale death of Israeli defense forces and their members as such. Military regrouping in urban areas anyway is being seen, so further intensification of such efforts we can see here. Plus, prolonged military presence is also a risk that many leaders have highlighted there, that though Israel has stated that its long-term plan is to transfer the control of Gaza Strip to some friendly Arabian nations, that might not come to fruition given the practical realities, as Israel would not be able to vacate this area unless and until it is sure that Hamas has been completely decimated. As such, that can take a very, very long period of time. Thus, there is a greater risk that entire Gaza Strip for a long duration of time might remain in the control or under the control of Israeli defense forces. Plus, because of this, it can also see its spill over in the regional conflict as well. Now, if we talk about the regional and diplomatic fallout of these steps, we have seen in the last few years there has been largely an effort to normalize relations between the Israel and the Arabian state. We have seen meeting between the Israeli leaders and the Arabian leaders such as Mohammed bin Salman from Saudi Arabia, or the leaders from United Arab Emirates. So obviously such a step will threat any kind of normalization deal that we have seen progressing in last few years. Plus, as this kind of land grabbing is not sanctioned by United Nations, there can be a large scale criticism strong criticism of such move by Israel in the UN as well, that can possibly lead to sanctions also, as has been threatened by the countries such as we have discussed, Canada, UK and France. These countries have clearly stated that any such kind of effort by Netanyahu would cause these countries to apply sanctions on Israel as such. And overall, such kind of efforts will also reduce trust in the peace negotiation, because in the early days of year 2025, we have seen some kind of ceasefire negotiation and peace deal that began to take shape between Hamas and Israel, but that completely has now fallen out. Now, if you look at the future outlook, what might the future hold for this entire region, especially in the context of Israel and Hamas, this conflict? So, in the short term, obviously, it will cause large scale escalation, instability in the region, and humanitarian crisis obviously will worsen. The problem is that even if Israel is able to take control of entire Gaza Strip, there is no clear post-Hamas governance model that they have formulated, that even if Hamas is decimated, even if Hamas loses control, political control, military control over the Gaza Strip, how the entire region will be again governed? Will the infrastructure damage that has happened here, that has occurred there, how infrastructure development can be ensured, how people can again start to live peacefully without any fear and all? That is something that is missing in the Israel's strategy. And there is a risk of, as we discussed, permanently Israel control. That is the large scale perception that is taking shape among the Arabian leaders as well as the overall people of Gaza Strip region. So, if we try to understand again everything in a nutshell, we can say that in the short period of time, as far as the current climate is concerned, it seems that peace roadmap is highly unlikely, and the region will still keep sitting on the powder keg, as we have seen before in the early days as well. So that is all about this particular video. If you like the video, please hit the like button, share this with your friends, subscribe to the channel for more such content. Thank you very much.